Hey, Kate.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I have to. Good. How are you? I have to call in for some reason. I still can't get the audio to work on my computer.
Oh, really? Oh, bummer. Okay. Okay.
So I'm the call in and the.
You have to. I know. Just meeting by meeting. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's just really frustrating.
I've never had success, and we have no IT here, so.
That is a problem in town hall. Yeah, you're kind of your own IT department.
Pretty much. For big stuff, we can call somebody, but for this kind of stuff, we don't have anybody.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I hear you. I used to work for a corporation, and when your computer got messed up, they would just send someone over, you know? Boy, was that nice. It was just like...
Sounds like a dream.
You know, you go get a cup of coffee, you come back, and your computer's fine again. No, now it's all up to individuals to figure out what's wrong.
Right. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Oh, Michael Barnes. Hi. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can. This is Kate.
Okay.
Kate. There.
There we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Maria.
Hi there. Let me adjust my audio.
You can't hear anybody right now, or?
Now I can.
Okay.
My fault. User error.
No. I mean, Dan's having a hard time hearing, so he might have to be on his phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was just saying he's having a tough time figuring it's not quite working for him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm on my phone. My phone's doing my audio.
Okay.
Jane Marsh just send me some comments I'm going to forward out to everybody. So just bear with me.
I don't know how I always wind up being the administrator on this WebEx.
That's because it's special. You're the one.
I have no idea. I just clicked the link.
This is why I emphasize being much more than doing. This is the most vital thing, being, to become aware of being.
I can't hear whoever just spoke. Sorry. Who was that?
Hi, Jane.
I can
Hi,
see
how are
Jane.
you? I didn't say anything. I just.
No, I said hi. Look at all those books.
Yeah, they're all in here. So Dan, I sent you some comments. I don't know if you got them.
I did. I'm just doing an email right now to get those out to everybody.
Trying to figure out how to split my screen here.
Jane, can I see your comments, or is it just for the commission?
Well, I gave them all to Dan, so he can send them to anybody.
Okay.
I'll try to forward them to you, Kate.
That would be really nice. Thank you so much. That'd be super.
You guys are staying busy, huh, Kate?
Oh, yes.
Well, blowing up a little bit there.
Yeah. Super busy.
It's great.
Yeah. It's great. Never a dull moment.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Jane.
Oh, let me plug in.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
are we doing? We got Jane, Maria, Michael, and me.
I thought it said TT somewhere or for Tammy, but I guess not.
There. There's a little entertainment for you.
Cute.
Yes, I know. There, you can say hello.
Oh, what a cutie.
Best. I gotta tell you, he's the best. He's the best, aren't you? Or the best.
Okay, I just forwarded Jane Marsh's comments to everybody.
I just got them.
Yes, I know. I know. Oh.
I'm wondering if this is going to be it. We're missing Tammy, Todd, and if Catherine, if she shows up, right? All I got from this end. Okay, I think we probably should begin. You ready?
Yep. Sure.
Okay, let's go. This is a special meeting of the Old Lyme Zoning Commission. Tonight is Thursday, October 1st. Attending the meeting this evening are Jane Cable, Jane Marsh, Michael Barnes, Maria Martinez. We have Dan Beret, our zoning enforcement officer, and Kate Hewitt as a guest as well. The purpose of this meeting tonight, I believe, is simply discussion of the comments that were provided to the planning and the plan comments on the plan of conservation and development by several members of the commission. So I think probably the best approach would be for everyone to take their turn and go around and see just what it is we have to say, and then kind of see if we have duplicates, and then discuss how we would possibly incorporate these all together and get it back. Sound good?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. Maria, you were the first one to come out of the gate, so to speak. So I'm
I
gonna
clearly had a lot of time on my hands that day.
Thank you for going to the outdoor movie theater for us and participating in that. Truly appreciate that, and took some excellent notes. So why don't we start with you, and kind of we'll move from there.
Sure. And yeah, I hope folks might have had an opportunity to review my comments, but I guess, to summarize, kind of the key points in reading over the plan, there were a couple of things that actually stood out for me. The first one was in terms of accountability and ownership of the specific initiatives that were outlined. And it seemed like throughout the document, there were multiple commissions that were assigned or recommended, for each one of these initiatives. And I think, in all of my years in management, The key thing that I've learned is you need one owner, one, kind of either, accountable party that is responsible for making sure that the recommendations are sound and that, there's a solid action plan and that those action plans are driven to closure. And I think, while aligning with a commission, there should be, in my opinion, at least a town official or someone that's aligned, directly to the town that works with the commission that also has ownership to help drive it through to closure. I think there's just a lot of volunteers on commissions. And for me, it seems to make sense that there would be an accountable owner of the town, a town official that's aligned with the board, that helps work these things through. So that's kind of one key point that that was, kind of clear or missing for me. The other thing is, there are key initiatives that I think require specific owners, and some of those would be the coastal water one. There's certainly housing, economic development, employment, transportation, and this overall kind of services coordination, because with all of these initiatives, to a certain extent, they're all intertwined, they're all aligned, and at the end of the day, there should be a responsible official that, kind of is a point person for overall services, and then, you've got, the departments underneath: health, transportation, housing, education, employment. But someone needs to be a point person, I think, for all of that. And my last, and I didn't articulate that in the document, but planning and zoning. It's almost like the chicken or the egg, which one came first? And it's kind of puzzling to me, why, while I believe there are two separate entities, there should be, one point person that coordinates both those parties so that there's a coordinated, kind of plan or approach to what gets done. So those are kind of the key points or highlights of my input. And, if there's any questions, feel free to, speak out.
Oh, okay. So coming from your side, then it's the point of accountability, paid accountability, so to speak,
Sure.
from the town. There's the point of the 7 or 8 points you made about the housing and everything else that
Correct.
Should be all tied together there too. And planning and zoning should be working in the same direction.
Absolutely agree. Thank you.
Okay, did I get those right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, while
Yes.
I've interrupted here, I see two, hi Tammy, so Tammy's here. I see 2 phone calls. Can somebody identify on the phone, please?
Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, okay, Mike Miller's on the phone. Thanks, Mike, if you can mute. And who else is on the phone?
I'm the other phone call, Paul. That's my audio because I can't get my computer to work.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, thanks, Maria. I don't know, Jane or Jane, who would like to go next?
Me, big,
Okay,
tall,
Miss Cable.
tall Jane. I endorse what Maria wrote. It just seems to me that more emphasis should be placed on the intertwining of the various concerns that should be part of conservation and development. I particularly endorse leaving Maria's comment that everything should not be left to volunteers. We not only need town officials responsible, we need other people who are qualified to help us with this. As I said in my little thing that I sent out, we will not have a town if we don't have enough good drinking water. That's numero uno. No water, no residents. Number two, we have to look at what makes a vibrant town. Everybody talks, every paper I've seen come out of the town says the population is aging. That's about the end of it. Well, we have to look at what our population is. That's why I want the plan of conservation and development organized into major concerns. Without, and the problem with the aging population is largely isolation. So it means we have to take another look at zoning and look at how that may be contributing to the problem of isolation. In my heart, I know it is. And I think we need a major rethink and rewrite about how the houses are, how the residences are situated. Is that your dog? And I think we should look at district overlays. We should look at mixed use. This is the only way I believe the town is going to interact importantly with its citizens. Otherwise, they're going to move away. And many of us have been here close to 50 years. The town is not reflecting the needs of a large part of the residents. And I'm sure the beach people would say that too. I think it's time we took a real hard look, and we're going to have to partner with technical people and with nonprofits. I think Hope Housing could be a big help. There are a bunch of nonprofits around. We should be working with the COG. We need some planning. And that's what's missing from the plan of conservation and development. It's not a plan, in my mind.
Okay. So on your side, from what I took some quick notes, aquifer protection.
I would reorganize it into main goals, and groundwater protection would be probably number one.
Right. Mixed use zoning or variable zoning regulations, whether it be for villages, whether it be for districts, whether it's historical or elderly, whatever. Okay. So
Zoning
kind of order.
Yeah, that reflects our population.
Right.
Why are we zoning for people who aren't here?
Okay. And then what the big thing, I think, I mean, I had aquifer protection on mine, but the big thing you brought up that I guess has been hinted at so far is that expert partnering. It's the professional partnering with, because it's true, if that doesn't happen, and then if there's no accountability, then it's just a piece of paper.
This just can't be thrown at volunteers and, told,
Correct.
You take care of it. That's not the way to do a good job.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Okay.
I'm glad, because I'm right. Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Ms. Marsh.
Well, I guess I'm probably more specific in my analysis because I've been involved in these plans before. But I do think the purpose of the plan is to state the personality of the town. And the town does change over time. Certainly in my many, many decades here, it's changing. But to me, the plan if it's going to be of any use, has to very clearly state what the town's objectives are. Preserving the rural character is not going to cut it, doesn't do anything for you, because so it has to be reduced to more specific standards. So the first one I noticed was that the previous plan had stated something very emphatically, that Halls Road was not going to be designed to serve turnpike traffic. And there was a comment in the new one about how Halls Road needed to have some different commercial uses based on the plan that was proposed there for a while. I don't know what the status of that is right now, but it didn't come out and say again that Halls Road is, for the people of Old Lyme, Halls Road is supposed to be a service area for local residents rather than turnpike traffic. So to me, that has to be determined whether that opinion has changed or not. And this is where the Planning Commission does get to say whether it feels something different than what we have felt possibly in the past. It's collecting information from more than just us, but I am presuming that they still believe in that particular philosophy, so I want them to restate it, because it almost implied that they were moving away from that. There is an overall comment I have always about the plan, is that a lot of the plan is devoted to saying what is and what happened in the last decade. But at some point it transitions to being a forward-looking document. And I think this particular document doesn't do that well. It starts to somewhere in the middle, it starts saying clearly some complaints and gripes that they have. And I think those should be very much segregated. And that once you get to the recommendations that the Planning Commission has, they should be set out one by one and then very clearly articulated, rather than to sort of be incorporated into the other text, which is what happened in the last 10 years, or what is our community like. And I do like the statements about what the community is like. It's not that I don't appreciate those, but the real business end of the document is in the recommendations that they're going to make. I personally don't mind that they include various commissions and various organizations as having something to do with these things, because a lot of these statements are rather broad. You know, they are, you know, even James, which is, you know, consider who actually lives here, that's going to be an effort that will be across the whole town in various commissions. So, and I felt that the plan was just weak on this. It seems like they have a whole bunch of ideas, but they were all just sort of thrown together at the end of the plan, and not very well organized, and certainly not directed enough and specifically enough in the exact same format every time, so that someone flipping through the plan will understand the various things that they should undertake. So it was more of a manifesto, which is nice, but it's not really gonna, what we're looking for is much more detail than that, and break it down into the smaller items that need doing. So, you know, if, and that's a lot of work. I do understand that. And it will generate some disagreement. You know, I don't think it's my place to say that I disagree with something in the plan, because I'm not on the Planning Commission, I'm on the Zoning Commission. The Zoning Commission in the end is kind of the gatekeeper for a lot of this, because if we don't adopt a zone change, well, of course, the plans are foiled. But to me, it would be the Planning Commission's job to sell the ideas, every idea that they have, so that even we might be inspired to change our ways if that's what we need to do. I didn't like the fact that Attorney Bennett that's where I thought the plan started to turn a little bit, is Attorney Bennett apparently wrote them a letter about the height restrictions. And I've actually never seen that letter, so I was interested, but I don't think our town plan of development needs to talk about what Attorney Bennett thinks. I think it needs to talk about what the Planning Commission thinks. And what the Planning Commission thinks should be done, rather than quoting Attorney Bennett. So it's not that I don't like Attorney Bennett, but to me, that's more like plugging the lawyer's office rather than saying what our town approach should be. And it doesn't necessarily sell the ideas to the people who are reading it.
Here, here.
Yeah, so I just felt that that's where the plan, they did put in there, well, the zoning commission should do this, this, and this, but it wasn't in the recommendation section at all. I think they gotta go back and take out the recommendations and place them all together in their proper order. And, to me, it's more likely that we will do it, and so will the other parties involved do it. I will definitely second our administrator's recommendation that we have more technical help when it comes to doing these things. What I noticed is all the new recommendations often were a result of various studies that were done. So the town was getting some technical assistance, and this helped drive the ideas and even the information so that these recommendations could even come to the fore. So I think that kind of thing should continue. And I did mention to Harold that I think we should get that information about our high tide lines and our flood zones and everything else that Saybrook got, so that we could begin to zero in on that information. So I don't know that the version I looked at, I think, was before he got my little memo on that. So, but that should be definitely included in their recommendations, that the town get some grant money or spend some money to get a study similar to the one Saybrook did done for us. Because that's what it's going to need to get the townspeople together and to feel that the information is adequate, that something needs to be done. So I guess that's kind of my general comments about the plan. Some of the stuff in my thing is just like, well, you need to have a quotation mark here or something. That's not important. That whoever's doing the drafting of it can fix all that.
Okay. That was great. Thank you. So I think from your standpoint, we can probably say that the plan should state, as one of your first comments was, state the personality of the town, and to try and really back that up, make it a more specific and more tactical type of a statement rather than just it should be. You mentioned Halls Road, whether that should be resident or turnpike, but I think the big thing that I heard from you, Jane, was that the plan should be a forward-looking and not a rear-view mirror plan. There was intimation that it should be, well, there was an intimation, I take those words back. It should be, I'm going to add words. That's what so that the plan should be a strategic forward-looking plan, probably supplemented by a 1-year and 5-year tactical plan. So the plan should be more strategic, because it's not written right now. It's not written as a strategic document. It's written as a manifesto. Someone said that. Okay.
I did, yeah.
You did. You said that, right? So it probably should be a strategic, forward-looking document that identifies the strategy over the next 10 years. But as part of that, the planning for conservation and development should also provide a 1-year and 5-year roadmap with the tactical. You can't do it all. It's only a 10-year plan. But what would be the 5-year tactical things that we wanted to approach? and how would we do, what's 1 year out, what's 5 years out? And then tied to that would be probably what town commissions would play in that ballpark, and who would be the responsible, the accountable point of contacts within town to actually execute and make that happen, or let it go forward. Is that probably
Yes.
a pretty good
It would be
synopsis?
better if they could prioritize stuff.
That's exactly correct. But that's what we would probably see in the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And then the 1 year plan would sort of be, how are we doing?
Mhm.
But I think that's what you said was absolutely great. It just got me thinking to make this more business-like and more strategic and tactical, because strategy is good, but it needs the tactical items to move it forward. So might scare them away, but that's probably a great recommendation from us. And then the last thing I heard too was probably a comment that probably the comments of Attorney Bennett probably aren't, they don't add value to this plan.
Well, I want to know whether the planning commission adopts them. And if they do, then have them say that that's their opinion. It's fine to me. I just don't think it should be coming out of the attorney's mouth. It should be coming out of the commission's mouth. Where in the public document, yeah.
Basically, he just deflected that right to the zoning commission, if I read that correctly.
Yeah.
The plan of conservation and development folks just picked that and threw it right off to us. So.
Yeah, and I just didn't think it was right in the place where they did it, number one, but I just think that if the planning commission itself believes that the 24-foot height restriction should go out the window, then it needs to say so in this planning document. That's it might be something we don't like to hear, but that's what we want to hear from them.
Right.
But from them.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
This morning? Oh, sorry.
Oh, Tammy, any comments?
You.
Can't hear you. Is your mic muted?
No comment.
Is that better?
There you are.
Yes.
Hi. There's a lot of information in that, to kind of read and go over and dissect and separate. And it, to me, like there's quite a few different ideas and different things, but I think we have to be really careful not to really do permanent things that are going to hurt the town in the future years to come. I think any ideas that are presented, I think that we really have to do our due diligence and make sure things are going to benefit the town in the right direction. I do think we need some forward-moving change, and I think we should, have maybe some more development on Halls Road. I'm not sure what though exactly, but I do think there's some room for us to change and grow as a community and in a way that everybody's happy with it and it's positive. And also with the beach community, I'd like to really include them in some of the things that, I feel like there's still a pretty big divide between the beach community and ourselves for whatever reason. I think that's a nice asset. And I'd like to see everybody come together and work on some goals moving forward. It's really
okay. So based on those comments, if we were to kind of tangent that part of what Jane Marsh said, that let's specifically state, what it is, what the town personality should be, and the specifics are, what are the things for instance, for education, for development, for Halls Road, those specific items, and then make it part of the strategic and tactical plans. Is that
absolutely?
Is that wrap?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we can't just have vague things come in direction with no direction.
Right.
And we really have to pay attention to what's going on and moving forward.
Okay, great. Batting in the number 9 spot, the cleanup, Mr. Barnes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of content here. I want to touch on a couple things, specifically Jane Marsh on the Halls Road. Can you say that about the turnpike traffic again? So it was originally designated to not accompany or accommodate turnpike traffic. Is that why they don't have a sign on the highway for subway and whatever else? The thing is that everybody talks about Halls Road development. Like, the land's all developed. 3/4 of that Halls Road is owned by one developer who has already developed his parcel. It doesn't seem like he's interested in trying to improve it anything further than what it already is, not to mention any wastewater restrictions that are going to come up on that type of development. Talking of the aquifer that, you guys were talking about, like clean water. I don't see a reason for deflecting turnpike traffic because there's no more development to be had there. Like, who's going to get off the highway here besides the gas station? Like, what would be the draw to Halls Road if you're coming through on 95?
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, well, there already is a Dunkin', right?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I feel there's a lot of traffic that gets on and off.
Only just because there's an accident and nobody wants to ride through the gauntlet there. Like, I don't drive anywhere in between exit 70 and 71 in the summer. I just get off and go around. So yeah, I was just trying to clarify that. Like, for instance, did the Halls Road gas station come before the zoning commission in the past and try to improve and they weren't able to do so? Or whatever happened with those applications in the past? Jane.
They wanted to expand.
They wanted to expand what, the pumps, the station itself, to include selling of more convenience items. I'm just trying to.
They wanted to turn all of the bays into a convenience store with cooking.
With cooking. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Like a Cumberland Farms or something that has like pizza slices, that kind of thing? Or are you talking like an actual restaurant?
Cooking.
Friolators.
Gotcha. Because I feel like that is the biggest eyesore on the whole Halls Road. But I was just trying to clarify that, what the purpose of the turnpike traffic avoidance, and I do understand it. When you say protection of the aquifer, how can we be more specific in trying to say protection of the aquifer? Like, is there anything more that we can say that would be more specific than that general term?
It turns out there's a statute somewhere that says every decision the zoning commission makes has to take into account the effect of the application on groundwater.
Yep.
Well, we don't have the expertise to do that.
So we would have to outsource that expertise and rely on that opinion of that third party?
I think we have to, just like we call Tom Metcalf in to look at the engineering. We're not competent to do that either.
Gotcha.
We're volunteers.
Oh no, I know that. That's why I'm wondering.
Michael, there are maps. We do have maps of the.
Because I was looking for the appendix they mentioned in the plan of conservation. I didn't see it. I don't know if it was. I'm not.
There are maps. There are overlays on the town of the different aquifers in the area. So we do have that, and we have had in the past some discussion, but that really never became locked down. And to Jane's point, we never had expert analysis to really bring that forward to say what you can do here and what you can do there and what you shouldn't and what you can. So
specifically on page 22, number 5, they talk about dredging and maintaining of rivers and adding another increased layer of review, as specifically having the inland wetlands. Now, again, I'm just talking out loud here, and it's not really zoning related, but kind of is. If tidal waters are being dredged, they're already going through a review from the state DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as the Zoning Commission. And if they're tidal wetlands, they're specifically that. They're tidal, they're not inland wetlands. I don't think it's to potential applicants who are going to be developing in tidal wetland areas to have an inland wetland commission commenting about a tidal wetland specifically. I don't know if anyone else feels anything different about that, but that's just my personal opinion. It's just an extra layer of red tape for a homeowner that's going to cost them more money unnecessarily when it's already being reviewed by the federal government and the state government, who have environmental analysts. That's their job. The inland wetlands is a volunteer commission. I'm not saying that people on there aren't knowledgeable, but that's just one thing I noticed that I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. And then it seems like you're trying to change the name of the zones from like C30 to neighborhood commercial. Anyone have any comments about any of that? It's not specifically naming, I'm just saying the way they're going to change the zoning criteria, it looks like they're trying to have us identify and look at our zoning regulations. At least that's what I'm interpreting from that. So what do we do about that?
I was off mic. What I would suggest we do there is, when they become more specific, when they have a strategy and a tactical plan as to what they wanted to do for what area, I think that's when we would probably go ahead and start addressing some of those zoning issues. I mean, to kind of carte blanche, just cut across and say, well, this looks good for this and this looks good for that. I think we approach those things once they have something pretty solid, or something that is a 10-year, something's going to happen plan. That's my input.
Okay.
Anybody want to, jump in on that or disagree, please?
Well, I would think the way our own regulations are organized is ultimately going to be something that we determine. And so if they want to make suggestions about how we organize our regulations, that's perfectly fine, but it's going to be us that will decide. We went through a pretty hefty period of time of rewrite on our zoning regulations, and I'm really not looking forward to doing anything like that again anytime soon.
Imagine, that'd be fun.
Before Michael Barnes was part of the commission, but he's welcome to start in on it again.
Oh no, I'll let you guys handle that one again. That was. But while we're talking about that, that brings me to another point. Like they're specifically talking about where it was on page 11. Hold on. Sorry, bear with me. Changes in commercial activity. So they kind of go through in a couple different places and spell out where they think the commercial zoning should lie or not lie. And I just feel like we owe it to some property owners here in town to fix an error that I think is an error. As far as where Kathy Clark's property is, they're trying to terminate the commercial, the C30 down Shore Road at Mile Creek, whereas I think it should continue all the way on like it still does on one half of the road to the to the antique store there by Chadwick Antiques. So you have C30 on one side of the street, and on the other side of the street you have R20. But that R20 is encompassing several commercial properties that the C30 has residential houses. The R20 has commercial businesses that are now non-conforming. I feel like we should fix that and reapply the zoning back to where it used to be. And if you're kind of wondering what I'm talking about, so if you're coming down Shore Road from Mile Creek, and you start going up the hill towards like East Limeway, right? You're passing the motel on your left-hand side there, the Shore Road Inn. It's C30 on the left side of the street from Mile Creek Road all the way until you get to the Chadwick Antiques by the 3-way stop sign on 4 Mile. The right side of the road is the R20, but that also, there is some residential houses there, but there's also still some commercial businesses that have lost their commercial designated zoning, even though they might have commercial mortgages on their properties and stuff. And I feel like we should extend that area in our, at least my personal opinion, in this plan that they have laid out here in front of us.
Yeah, but such a horrible corner exists right in the middle of that. It's
that's my driveway. I know.
It's the worst corner in Old Lyme. So
I agree, but that road specifically has 5 different businesses on it.
Yeah.
It's been a commercial road since 1900. So it's one of the oldest commercial parts of this town. I feel like it's owed to the property owners to keep it as such, because that's why they bought their properties there.
We went through a complete evaluation of all the commercial zones in town probably about 20 years ago.
It was 2008, 2007.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm not clear at the date, but we reevaluated because we had so many little orphan pieces that weren't really attached to anything, and they were just the parcels that people were using. And what I think that we were trying to do is make these more zone-like so that they could be deeper rather than, because a commercial area has to have parking. It's just gotta have parking. And when you have a very narrow commercial zone along a road, you have no place to put parking. So it ends up being crammed right up against the road. There's no sort of design possibilities for it. And you end up with strip development. So
Yes.
we were
sorry.
what we were trying to do then was to eliminate commercial zones where they could only be narrow along the road, which are the old ones. Admittedly, it was the way in 1900 everybody thought commercial development should be. They weren't thinking about what would be like in 2020. But it was tough because everywhere where there was an actual business located, of course, they didn't want their areas to be rezoned. And that's where trying to make it other than spot zoning and to make it district-wide zoning is very difficult in a town where you already have a lot of existing development. So.
Yeah, I do agree. The thing is that the objective that they set out to accomplish wasn't accomplished because only half of the street was rezoned. So
I guess that half must have agreed that it was all right.
No, that's the thing. They didn't.
No, all of them, but maybe it was a higher percentage. I don't know. You can still have one or two that won't be happy, but how do you
there's 18. So I've done my homework on this specific issue. Full disclosure, my property lies within this area. My neighbor's property. Go ahead.
Hey, Michael,
This is off the agenda.
On a tangent. Okay. We went off tangent here for a second.
All right, sounds good.
Let's hold it for a meeting. Yeah, let's hold it for a meeting that we can put it on the agenda for, or even some discussion, later on. But
sounds good.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't know. I just noticed it. They specifically mentioned in the plan of conservation development. So I just wanted to say, is it worth mentioning anything, revising that language?
Okay.
But that's it for me. I'm done.
I appreciate it. Okay, so I try. Michael, let me go back to what you said because you took me down that road and I lost my way back.
Sorry.
Are you specifically are you agreeing with what's already been said, or is there a special point that you want to take back to the plan on conservation and development?
Well, no, it's just they're commenting about these zones and what they want to see it in the plan of conservation and development. I'm just commenting on that. I think that it should be more uniform than just selecting half of the street.
Okay. All right. So maybe that's more of us to think about than kind of back to them. Okay.
Got it.
All right.
Can I just make one last comment on the plan?
Great. Okay.
Yeah, and as I'm thinking through the document again, housing, affordable housing, came up multiple times, as well as how the town is changing. The town is becoming, is aging more and more, and there were also. It wasn't clear, but it was implied that, the town population is decreasing, although they don't necessarily have the actual numbers, latest numbers from the census. And one of the things I think about in terms of how do you bring younger people into the town, it's tied to, you need a job. So that's the economic development piece. and once folks have jobs, then they kind of want to move in. So that drives the need for housing, and then, there's the transportation services that, are aligned with all of that. But kind of at the core, seems to me to be economic development. And what are we going to do, in terms of attracting folks, through having appropriate jobs here. So, that's also tied to, the work that they're doing to try and attract, light industry in, so that, again, you get more jobs, so that people are attracted to the town, so that then there's housing. So there's this whole kind of, series of events that need to be planned, if we're actually going to build something that's forward looking, and that whole coordinated piece is missing. So, I
Right.
mean, I'm not sure what you do with what I just said, but I'm just thinking through logically, what do you need to have in a town to attract people? You need tax incentives for industry to come in. You need for them to build something. You need jobs to be available so that people will come, and then you have to house them. So that whole thing is just missing for me from a forward-looking perspective.
For Lyme, though, it never was that Old Lyme would provide the jobs. That Old Lyme was going to provide the places to live, because I mean, just because the state is divided up into 169 towns doesn't mean that every single of those 169 towns has to provide every single thing, because then you don't really get what you're really looking for. So Old Lyme's emphasis always was on being the place you wanted to live, because we have New London, we have New Haven, we have Hartford, we have Middletown.
True.
But certainly we have to coordinate with the places where the jobs are. But I don't think our plan necessarily has to say that all jobs need to be provided in the town.
Yeah, and I'm not saying all jobs, by any stretch of the imagination, but in conversations with folks that I've had, I've heard about, teachers can't afford to move in, policemen can't afford to move in, but there's got to be some blend, so that there is an opportunity for folks to live and work in the same place. So, but again, that requires some planning, some coordination, digging deep and figuring out, what does the town really need, in order to, kind of maintain the character of the town. But there's got to be something else in there as well. It's just my thought.
Well, having a diverse housing stock and making sure that you can house a wide range of economically stratified people, would always work for Old Lyme, because if you're trying to provide the bedrooms and the habitats and the nice place to live, yes, you should always have a wide range. But I guess my point was that you don't have to have everything, because in order to be the nice place to live, in a way you can't have everything, because then you're not the nice place to live. And I do think Old Lyme has succeeded in being the nice place to live. It just hasn't succeeded for everyone. And so that's where more emphasis on affordable housing, or just other diverse types of housing. For a long time, we were steadfast in our desire to have only single-family homes on parcels of land, and parcels of land bigger than 3/4 of an acre, so that they wouldn't need any sewage. Now that we're getting sewage, lines in the town, that opens up things that have never been opened before. Connecticut water is expanding a little bit, and so that opens up things that have never been available before. The beach communities being year-round is opening up things that never were open before. So I think that kind of aspect about the town could be discussed in the plan. And what are those the results of various pressures and things that happen? What could that mean for making a more diverse housing stock? And
Fair.
maybe
That's
we don't still have this idea that everybody has to live in a single family home on a postage stamp, you know?
Yeah, I like that you guys have done a pretty good job all these years. I mean, you look at East Lyme, you look at Old Saybrook, they're both highly overdeveloped. I mean, and it's crawling and it's getting closer, and you guys have done a good job sending it off as long as you can. If we don't come up with an initiative or come up with our own good plan to address it, we're going to be leaving it up to these, the 1030, whatever that number is for the affordable housing in order to supersede zoning.
Well, the houses, I don't think will ever bother Old Lyme. It's when you have the idea that you have to have commercial and you have to have industrial and you
Oh yeah, I agree.
have other uses in your town that you start looking like Saybrook or East Lyme. It isn't
Right.
just the housing. So
No, you're right. I totally agree.
yeah, so because developments can be tucked back in and they can be done in very nice ways, and you can have all kinds of stuff going in a town. But you know, I agree. I don't see it in the plan as much as it used to be in. It was rather a table thumper that we were going to be the bedroom for the local area, and that we were going to be the space between the places. I remember that from the regional planning agency. And I like that idea because if there's no space between the places, then everybody has to live in live in developed and sort of quasi metropolitan areas. And I do know when we moved from rural to suburban, when we say we're rural now, the federal government doesn't agree with us. We're now designated as suburban/urban area. But I agree. I think that, but I do think that we don't have to, too much emphasis on jobs being provided in Old Lyme will sort of send us maybe in the wrong direction. The jobs probably are going to have to be in more developed areas. Some will be here, but the rest of them are going to be in more developed areas. And I don't think we should feel ashamed that we are the place where people live, and that our main goal is to make that be as good as Mike says, as good as it can be. But for everybody, I don't think it should be just for wealthy people. Yeah.
Yeah, Jane, that's a fair comment. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of smart people you all are.
It's old, Mike. Old.
I think a lot of the drive, too, from what I see with people moving and looking for homes in Old Lyme,
It is because of what it is.
right. It's what they're looking for.
Mm.
They come for the schools, or they come because they work in East Lyme or New London or somewhere. But a lot of people, they want this charming little town.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we can drive around the entire town and not have to stop at one traffic light. It's the only town you can really do that in.
The highway. I know we're lucky. We're really lucky in a sense. So I just, I think there's room for development and growth, but I think we do have to be a little bit careful.
Well, we have to be careful that we don't just adopt temporary sort of fad language and mistakenly change what we really want. So I don't think we do, but that I think every year we have to, or every time we do this plan.
Well, everybody makes everything politically incorrect, so it's like everybody's trying to watch themselves for political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, there's tons of political incorrectness in Old Lyme.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying anything about that. All right.
Okay. Anybody else, or we pretty much captured everything?
Do you have any ideas, sir, of your own?
Well, the big one I had was the aquifer. That's the one I had, and I jumped on what you said regarding the having, what is it that the town personality wants to be, and be specific about that. And then that just jogged me into saying, then let's have a strategic plan. Let's have a 10-year strategic plan followed by a 1 and 5 year tactical plan that has point of not only accountability, but what focus teams or what focus commissions would work on something like that. So that's my input, is to, if this is going to be more than a document that becomes reflective every 10 years of what happened, rather than guiding what you want to happen, then I think it needs to be strategic and tactical.
Dan, as a land use, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, and I'm done.
No, finish. You finish your thought.
I'm done.
Oh, I was gonna say, Dan, as the land use coordinator, do you have any input on any of these discussions that we're having?
I mean, so I've been just trying to listen and take notes. Obviously, I work with all the commissions in town. Well, not all of them, but the four main ones. I mean, it's not. I mean, I can provide advice. I can provide some sort of insight, but it's really your town, and it's what you want to make it. You know, I guess I'm from a more developed area, and I guess just to respond to the rural versus suburban. I mean, the federal government's looking at the country. So obviously, Old Lyme is much more developed than some town out in Idaho or Iowa with 50 people in the space the size of Middlesex County. So, I mean, you guys are a suburban town. You're on I-95. You're on one of the major highway corridors in the entire country. You're within 2 hours of New York and 2 hours of Boston and 30 minutes of three other giant cities. So I think it's just grappling with what you want to be. Would you want to be a single bedroom community? You know, I know in my experience with Clinton, they're fighting that now. They've fallen into a rut of being a single bedroom community, and now they're paying the taxes associated with that. So, you know, it's really what you want to do. If you want to be a single bedroom community, you know, there's going to be a higher tax share paid on the residential properties. You know, but it's really about constructing the vision that you guys want to see Old Lyme be, provide the comments to planning, and then really just assist the planning commission in trying to integrate some of these things that they agree with, and some of the changes. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, well, I was actually thinking more specifically to like the professionals of the aquifer. Do you have resources for any of these? Are these?
Well, so we have the two aquifers that I know of mapped in town. They're on the GIS website. Now, I don't know who is administrating those aquifers. In my past career in Portland, we had an aquifer protection component as a part of the zoning commission. They met quarterly. They had authority over 4 aquifers, 2 that actually crossed into multiple municipalities. One was in Portland, Cromwell, and Glastonbury, and another one is part of between Middletown and Portland, which is actually feeds the well fields for the water I drink. So I don't know if that that has been set up in Old Lyme. I don't know if another town has. I don't know if that responsibility has lied in Lyme, because one of the aquifers does cross the town boundaries. But yet, I mean, that could be explored as something being set up as a function of the zoning commission, that you guys would meet quarterly and oversee the aquifers.
I talked with the geologist who helped us set up our aquifer protection regs. And he said, in the absence of a specific commission, it's zoning's job.
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose already if a gas station wanted to come in where the aquifers were, that would be something that would be looked at. I'd have to go back and look where they are, but I believe they're all north of.
It's Rogers Lake.
Like Laysville.
It's Rogers Lake.
Area.
But there are some bedrock aquifers in the 4 Mile River Road area, because 200 families are getting their water from there. It's not coming from Rogers Lake. So
Okay,
there's a lot of work to regulating and overseeing it, and that's one of the areas that needs specific technical help.
So you're saying that area needs the aquifer to be actually mapped?
We have bedrock aquifers. I don't know if they're mapped or not. Nancy Hutchinson and Alan Todd worked on that. But we've got them.
we had some maps as well, Jane, didn't we?
Yeah.
To identify all the areas and
Yeah.
what the aquifers were. Yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't been regulating them. This stuff goes in and we don't even raise groundwater issues.
So we
Yeah.
need to worry about that.
So if we don't do it, nobody will do it until yet another commission gets formed.
Well, would you want the
We
planning
probably-
commission to recommend you guys be, have that authority?
The authority has to be delegated somewhere. I don't know if zoning wants to do it or they want a special commission. But it's got to be delegated. It's got to be mentioned and delegated.
And it has to have a point of contact, accountability rep as well within the town. Whether it's part of us or whether it's a separate organization, it needs to be driven. We turn off the church bells here.
So where do we go from here?
Going.
Dan,
I
are there?
don't know.
Whoops, go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't know how you guys want to present this to planning. Do you want to endorse the 3 documents that were submitted? Do you want me to work with Paul on trying to come up with a summary for you guys to look at and approve?
Yes.
That's what I would like to do.
I'm curious how you want me to convey this.
Let's put together a summary, Dan. When do they want this besides yesterday?
Now?
No.
Hey,
No, I'm joking.
conservation.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're available, Paul, we can get together beginning of next week, and then
Yeah.
I think they are meeting. I think they're meeting maybe next Thursday or the following. I'll have to talk to
Okay.
Harold.
Thursday after
All right.
we meet.
So let's get together. Let's pull all the comments together. Then we'll send it out to the members. Make sure they agree with that. Take any extra comments, put them together, and then get them off to the commission. Probably we'll need to do that before our meeting on the 13th.
12?
12th? No. What day is it? Columbus Day. Next day.
It's
no,
the
Indigenous
13th, yeah.
People Day.
Yeah, we're not meeting the 12th. Yeah, we're meeting the 13th.
But the
because
Tuesday
of
the 13th.
holiday.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So then, are we good, everyone? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do it. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Anyone opposed?
Bye,
Are you
folks.
sure? Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.